Chad Gibbs, and my show, On the Rocks, is on KXFM, 3 p.m. Fridays. You know, music is the soundtrack of our lives, and we live pretty great lives here in Laguna Beach. Nothing brings back good memories like a good song. We're going to take music from all genres, all walks of life, and all eras, and nothing is off limits as long as it pertains to something that's happened here in Laguna Beach. That's On the Rocks, Fridays, 3 p.m. right here on KXFM.
Here's another track from local independent artists on KXFM, Laguna Beach.
Pull that chain on the lampshade, fill that a bucket with ice. Our brains are full of champagne. Now, sweetheart, hit the lights. The drive was nice, the old high hotel coffee and a bottle of soul. Up the road to Fairfield to see Mr. Frank I hope. And we rolling in paradise. And we rolling at paradise. Our heads are full of sunshine. Yeah, 2 shots and a beer. Heart attack up on the Mingler. I thought it was coming on down. From Washington State to Portland Place. Now we headed down south. And we rolling in paradise. Silver Lake between the mountains, the sun is a golden gun. Shoot your cares into the fountain, watch your whole heart beating young. Hold on tight to the sweetest vision, and keep that bitchin' down. You can track a mission by the time it's on the ground. And we rolling in paradise. And we rolling out of paradise.
my fondest regards to the comment section. The comments are neither created nor destroyed. A disconnected smoke detector oftentimes or all the time. I'm retracting my invitations and pulling down the decorations. I don't want to think about the life I learned to live without. A Diet Coke, a diet fries, a diet life, supersize. So you got everything you wanted, now what? So you got everything you wanted, now what? I don't want to think about it, don't make me. I don't want to think about it, don't make me. It's too cold for a Coke, it's too cold for corruption. Man, it's too cold for charity, but I can talk to computers. They'll tell me what the weather is. Lucky Charms. And I was born at the front of the line. My teeth in my mouth, my upset stomach that never ends. From being someone else's friend, I'm retracting my invitations and pulling down the decorations. I don't want to think about the life I learned to live without. The Diet Coke, the diet fries, the diet life, the supersize. So you got everything you wanted, now what? So you got everything you wanted, now what? I don't want to think about it, don't make me. I don't want to think about it, don't make me. Retracting my invitations and pulling down the decorations. I don't want to think about the life I learned to live without. The Diet Coke, the diet fries, the diet life, the supersize. So you got everything you wanted, now what? So you got everything you wanted, now what? I don't want to think about it, don't make me. I don't want to think about it, don't make me.
KXRN LP, Laguna Niguel, Laguna Beach. KXFM on 104.7, KXFMradio.org.
Hello, this is Craig at KXFM 1047 Community Radio. Tune in, turn on to Rainbow Radio every Sunday from 10 a.m. to noon for a powerful and inclusive weekly program as we spotlight LGBTQ plus artists, authors, movie producers, community leaders, and cultural events in Laguna Beach. Again, Craig, every Sunday at 10 a.m., Rainbow Radio.
KXFM 104.7 Laguna Beach Radio.
Have you ever heard music that seems to reach deep into your soul, give you a low hug, and assure you that you're understood? If so, I think that's great. In the meantime, Open Water has a bunch of other stuff for you. New and used indie rock, post-punk, garage, shoegaze, psych, dream pop, etc., etc. It's roughly 44 minutes of new stuff, 7 minutes of old influential stuff, and 9 minutes of me offering up entirely unnecessary context for all of it. As I told my boss on day one, I'm a volunteer here and you get what you pay for. Open Water, Thursdays at 5.
This disclaimer is a statement notifying listening audiences that any opinions expressed on our shows are not representative of Laguna Radio, Inc., its management, or its board of directors.
Stay tuned for Art Walking Radio.
We'll say that you'll be true. We'll say that you'll be true. We'll say that you'll be true and never leave me blue. Susie Q. We'll say that you'll be mine. We'll say that you'll be mine. We'll say that you'll be mine, baby, all the time. Susie Q.
Good evening. This is Craig, and it's Art Walking Radio. It is the second Thursday of the month, as we are always here. And if you were wondering what that Susie Q is all about, it is all about the Q this evening. We have some guests from the Q, and it's Susie Q, how do? Yes, we love you and appreciate your presence here this evening. We have two fabulous guests. One can't stay the full 2 hours, but we'll harass the second person for the second hour and make up for lost time. How about that? Art Walking with Lynette Brasfield. Let me give you a little bit about Lynette. As you know, our guests don't like to too often talk about themselves in very flowery, kind radio talk, so I do my best. I try. Lynette Lynette's long career in public relations and communications includes a stint as vice president at the Nelson Communications Group and Hill and Knowlton, serving clients as varied as the Pacific Care and Health Systems, Chapman University, and Anheuser-Busch. I don't want to know about the Anheuser-Busch part. She also is a published novelist, Nature Lessons, St. Martin's Press, New York, and has taught fiction, served on panels at writers' conferences, and written numerous articles on subjects including travel, mental health, which I need some of that, and the challenges of aging. For 2 years, she has served as the managing editor, features writer for Stu News in Laguna, and she loves hiking, cats, and working at the Susie Q. Then we have, to top it off from the Susie Q, we have Ricky Redman. And Ricky has 14 years of experience working with seniors, including with Alzheimer's Orange County, where she managed their Memories in Making art program and exhibition, and SCAN Health Plan, where she was a volunteer engagement specialist. With passion for education, creativity, art, and community outreach, Ricky manages organizational priorities to best serve the clients at Susie Q. Ricky has a Bachelor of Arts with an emphasis on therapeutic arts. That's a really good subject. We need to touch on that one. She has she is a certified instructor for the Burin Center for Autobiographical Studies and is currently training to be end-of-life practitioner. So those are our lovely guests. It's me and Leah Vasquez, our co-host this evening. Good evening, Leah.
Well, good evening to you, Craig, and to our guests, Lynette and Ricky. And we're so delighted to have them here. I'm a member, a continuing member, and a real appreciator of the Susie Q. And I've been long involved in part of the planning of it. And I also so appreciate the diversity of classes, and we're going to get into that with our first guest, with Lynette. So Lynette, welcome. And we're going to include Ricky in this discussion too, but I'm going to focus mostly on you during the first half hour since you have to leave. Wow. But we've had this great conversation about your cat.
We could lock her
as
in.
well.
Yes.
And we can lock you in, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, to start off, I wanted to ask you a couple of things about it, about yourself. So please give us a little bit about you and your background, just as an introduction, how you came to Laguna Beach.
Well, I was born in South Africa and I lived there until I was 29. And somewhere in between that, I actually spent a couple of years in Zimbabwe, or Rhodesia as it was then. So I've actually been here in the States longer than, I lived in South Africa. So I feel more American.
But you
in
still
many
have that
ways.
lovely accent.
Oh, thank you. So I came here with my first husband and ended up, first of all, in Cleveland, Ohio, which was a shock to my system, I must admit. Just very different with the snow and the different sort of culture there, but felt very at home when I got to California.
It wasn't quite like Kilimanjaro, was it?
No, I can't say it was. So anyway, that's how I got to America.
And that's how you came. And how old did you say you were? You were an adult?
Yes, I was 29 years old, and I had one son, and I was actually 3 months pregnant when I was here with my second son. So he's actually an anchor baby. I hope nobody minds.
I'll get my anchor out.
That could get in there.
All right, and so with that, how did you get involved with the Susie Q? And tell us how, from your understanding, how it came to be.
Can we say first, real quickly, that it is Susie Q's 50th anniversary, and that's part of the reason both our guests are here. Because this is a big deal.
It is a big deal.
And we're so grateful that they've been around all this time. And I'm certain that the two of you had a lot to do with it, sustaining it. So
right. And so the question is, how you came to the Susie Q, and also describe, the space and how it got its name.
Okay, well, I feel very fortunate to have become involved with the Susie Q. I worked for Stu Saffer at Stu News Laguna for after he died for a couple of years. I was the managing editor, and I wrote a lot of the feature stories. So I became very familiar with a lot of the Laguna Beach nonprofits, and had a particularly good relationship with the Susie Q. So once I decided that I wanted to move on from Stu News, Susie Q asked me if I would be willing to do some articles, and I agreed to do that and became closer and closer to the wonderful people there. Well, it's an interesting story about the Susie Q, because people do wonder about why it's called that. And the story is that Chris Quilter and his three brothers, they donated $750,000 toward the founding of towards the building of the Susie Q Center. And in return for this, they had naming rights to the Susie Q. Their mother, Elizabeth Quilter, used to write for local newspapers, and her pen name was Susie Q. So Chris Quilter always says that his mother would have not liked it to be called the Elizabeth Quilter Center. It would be too formal for her. So they decided that the Susie Q Center would be ideal.
That is a wonderful lead-in. The Susie Q offers so many things. And do you have any idea about when it opened, and what year it opened, and who designed it?
I believe it was Lee, I'm forgetting the name of the architect, but it was 2009 that it opened. And at that point, Wayne's Standing Yoga started, the Gallery Q started, and these are things that have been around for now 15 or 16 years and still very popular. What's lovely about the Susie Q, it's a very different kind of senior center. It's not what you might call your grandmother's senior center, because it's very vibrant and it's bright and it's bustling. And we have programs, we invite people of all ages to come to our events, because we don't think that seniors want to be among only other seniors. We think that they get a real kick out of being with different age groups.
That leads me to a question that I've been asked many times, and maybe you can answer it really well. And Ricky, you can jump in too. Okay. The Susie Q and the community center, the question I get is, because people show up there, is it only for seniors? And are they run by two different entities?
In a sense, it is run by two different entities, because the Susie Q Senior Center shares the space with the city. So the city has programs that cater to, the dance programs for the younger kids, some of the arts programs and so on. But the Susie Q Senior Center has programs that are mostly focused towards 50 plus age group. However, as I said, we like people of all ages to come to see, what's going on at the Susie Q, but there are two distinct entities there, yes.
So then the next question is, because I've met people from out of town, and the question was, does the Susie Q only serve Laguna Beach residents?
Our focus is Laguna Beach residents, and I think Ricky can speak to this as well. When it comes to the kinds of programs that we offer that really help seniors stay in their own homes, that's mostly Laguna Beach residents. But for programs like Evening with an Author or the opera, then we're very happy to have people from other parts of the county. But I think Ricky can speak to.
I would say that we generally serve the community. Anyone who comes in and wants to enjoy our programs or services, we're happy to help, whether it's consulting them for support or resources they might need, or whether it's going to, we just had a stand-up comedians there, right? So someone from Huntington could come in and decide that they wanted to join us. Someone who's flying in from Iowa could come and enjoy a class. So very inclusive to anyone who wants to come by and see us.
What else I've noticed is that the center provides transportation. And maybe you can talk a little bit about that, because I've noticed that not only do the people around here use that transportation, but I have seen people come in from out of town, say Laguna Niguel.
Well, Sally's Fund provides transportation, but there's also volunteers who help. And again, Ricky, I think, would be a good person to speak to about that.
Yeah, I always say Laguna is a great place to age because there are so many resources, and one of them being the transportation that is available, especially for older adults who may not be able to drive anymore. So we are lucky enough to have Sally's Fund, which is the local nonprofit organization, and they provide transportation, free transportation to the senior center for people who want to come and enjoy programs. They also focus on providing transportation for medical appointments. Sometimes they do social outings or grocery shopping visits. So they are an incredible resource. And then, of course, we have Laguna Beach Local, where people can get rides throughout the city.
And that's free. I know in my own situation, when I stopped driving for almost 3 years, having multiple surgeries and being out of town, and I had to learn to re-drive after I got better. I use that local, and I think it's one of the best things we've ever done. But I also, Ricky, you mentioned about, the things that are offered when people call up the Susie Q. I also was interested if they need people to volunteer and to help drive, and how would they get hold of you if they said, well, I could volunteer once a week or whatever?
We love volunteers. That is really so much of the heart specifically of Lifelong Laguna, which is our Aging in Place program. That is how we're able to serve the almost 200 members that we have in our Aging in Place program. So if anyone wants to volunteer, either kind of in a one-on-one role with older adults in the community, and that could be helping with transportation, going out for coffee dates, taking a walk together. So transportation can be part of it, and it also doesn't have to be part of it, because we know some volunteers aren't comfortable with that. So yeah, I think, does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. I think, and later on, Ricky, when we have our discussion with you, we'll ask for how they get hold of you.
Perfect.
And then right now, Lynette, we'll go back to you and ask you also about the board members, that you interact with. There's quite a few, aren't there?
There are quite a few, and I don't know all of them all that well, but Stephanie Skandarian is wonderful. We actually were at the farmers market this last Saturday. We handed out 240 promotional bags and 240 flyers with information about the Susie Q.
Wow.
So
what do the bags have in it?
Oh, well, they were just grocery bags, groceries.
Oh, I see, bags.
Yes, bags.
Okay.
Yeah. So
how interesting. And I noticed the Renee Hinchy, who
yes, she's fabulous. Yeah.
She's wonderful. She's your board president.
She is.
And she was the general manager when I first started working with the Water District. And it's wonderful that she's doing this now. She's a really very uplifting type of a person.
Very much so. And what's great is she has this focus on marketing and being sure that we try to get to what we call the younger seniors, because of course nobody wants to be called a senior. In fact, at the farmers market, when we had the banner up, Laguna Beach Seniors, you'd see a few people like back away. I'm not a senior.
The mid 60s.
Yeah. Well, even the 80s or the 90s.
Well, that's
nobody wants
true.
to be
That's
called
true.
a senior.
Well, we have an ageism thing going on,
Yes,
you know, but
yeah.
actually I always like to call myself 10 years older than I was. And people go, wow, you look really great. You know?
Yeah, there you
So
go.
the other way, you know?
Yeah.
But
yeah.
so and then you have Gail Schickling on it.
Mhm.
She's your treasurer,
Mhm.
and then these different people are on it. I know that you could probably talk a little bit more about them, the different people who are on it.
Right. Well, Kitty, of course, was the president of the Women's Club for quite a while, so she brings a lot of expertise there. One person that's been absolutely wonderful is Christopher Regan. He's with the water.
He's been
District.
on our program twice, and
Has
he
he?
is a delight to have. Very brilliant young man. Actually, I should say young, because I am probably a senior.
You know, well, Chris, yes, and I have my beautification council meetings there. And
Okay.
speaking of that,
Oh, they're our sponsor.
yes,
Yes, I have a little spiel somewhere here.
we'll wait for your spiel.
Lagoon. Oh, it might be a
but
while.
Chris is just so helpful and makes the water district offices and so available. One time, you know, they have a pond there. It now has netting over it. But before they had netting, one of the tortoises got loose and decided to take a little stroll down the street.
Oh, really?
And it was hilarious because somebody spotted it. And when I heard about it, I said, Chris, you need to put the address, and it should say, "Send me home, please."
On the shell.
I'm missing my pond on the shell.
I this is a commercial. I mean, a sort of, because they're our sponsor, the Laguna Beautification Council, and they have been for, well, it's coming. They're going to be coming up on a year here pretty soon for this program, and we dearly appreciate it. Art Walking is grateful to be the Laguna Beach Beautification Council, have them as a sponsor, which promotes and advances projects to enhance Laguna's natural cultural beauty. Art Walking encourages listeners to support and organize the businesses and advancing appreciation of natural resources that sustain the beauty of our environment. Each year, the LBBC, which is short for Laguna Beach Beautification Council, recognizes and awards public and private beautification projects. That is a huge thing and a huge contribution to the community. We also acknowledge Laguna Beach County Water District's generously in hosting its meetings and awards ceremonies. So,
And that's
Nice.
Christopher Reagan has made that
Yeah.
possible for us. He's
Mhm.
really wonderful. So all of that coming together. So moving on, Lynette, tell us a little more about, you know, how the kind of things that are being promoted and kind of events they're having, and there's something special going on right now.
Right. Well, what we've tried to do, again, as I mentioned, we'd like younger seniors, by which we mean 50-year-olds and over, to realize what the Susie Q can offer. And so we've been having more evening programs or programs that would attract them as well. Today, we had a panel of stand-up comedians talking about what life is like for them, you know, how they deal with hecklers, how they get their ideas. And it was just so much fun.
And how many people attended of that age?
Well, we haven't done the analysis, so I don't know exactly, but there were quite a few people who didn't have gray hair.
That's a good thing.
Which does not necessarily mean that they were
That's true.
younger.
You know,
But
that's true. I mean, you know, the dye is out there, right?
exactly, exactly.
But nevertheless, even when it starts, the word catches on.
Yes.
And we're trying to get our young people more involved with the community because they're so busy
Yes.
with, you know, between the school and their outside activities, their personal lives. But we can't maintain the sense of community. And I think that's the whole thing about the center. It's the epitome of the sense of community. It does things that nothing else does in this town. Other places do wonderful things and they also contribute. But the Suzy Q brings in these people from all the different areas, all different ages. We still call it the Suzy Q, but we understand it's the community center. So
Right.
even though they're separate, down the hall from where I'm working out with stand-up yoga, there are young children. They're doing jazz dancing. They're exercising. They're doing all kinds of things.
Mhm.
And tell us some more about the things that people do there.
Well, I like to think of it as 383rd Street, where the generations meet.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's what I think is very true, because we have people of all ages there. I mean, obviously, as the senior center, we are focused on that particular age group. But it's so great that here in Laguna Beach, this is a place in the heart of downtown that's really the beating heart of the community. You know, it's a place where we talk to people and it's their second home. They love it.
I want to say it's a second home for a particular group that we have events there once a month. Sometimes we skip, but once a month, and it's Club Q, which is LGBTQ seniors. And actually, the 2nd of May, we're going to have a Cinco de Mayo a few days early. But there is a great crowd that loves to come do that, and if it's just being social or playing a few games, but an opportunity to get together. And I think especially for LGBTQ seniors, it's more difficult to find a group that you're really comfortable with, and the Suzy Q, that's part of it. And I'd like to also add, which is wonderful thing that they do that. I got to give them kudos for that, because it can be difficult getting old, but I think it can be even more difficult when you're of a particular minority that particularly lately seems to be less embraced than in the past. You know what they do. But the other thing about the Suzy Q and the people that go is that I'm amazed how often they don't know that it's there. Mm-hmm. And there seems to be for some seniors, a disconnect, because some of the seniors are not web savvy, you know, and I think that reaching out at Saturday Market is a wonderful thing, because a lot of those people, where was it that someone played a short video on YouTube, which I get engrossed in, but it says, this elder lady says, I'm 80 years old. I don't have a smartphone and I don't have internet. She was adamant about that. And someone recorded it and shared it just kind of as a joke. But because there's a lot of people that don't want that, and they want that privacy, but at the same time, you know, they want to know someone. So it's so great that you're doing those outreaches. I think it's wonderful.
It is a really fantastic thing, because it leads into something else that Craig was mentioning, these programs. When I am there, and I have noticed there are several people, there's more than several probably, that you could put quotes around it. They're homeless. And it's very interesting to me to sit down and talk to these people. They are certainly not ignorant. They may have dyslexia. They may have something else. They may from another country. But they gravitate to the Suzy Q, and it's home to them. They serve lunches there. We talk about that a little bit, and the people who come in and stay, and you see them regularly because they really don't have a place of their own.
Well, the Age Well Senior Services, they offer a lunch 3 times a week. So that's a partnership that we have. But I think, you know, yes, certainly there are some people who don't have homes who come there. But, you know, there are a lot of older adults who are just plain lonely. You know, they might have their own home, but they don't have any relatives around them. Their children might be all over the States. And so, well, even, you know, we just had our 50th anniversary, you know, as Craig mentioned, and we did some videos, interviews about that. And, you know, Dr. Corey Jorgensen was talking about how it was so lovely. He was like, I get up in the morning to go to the Suzy Q on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays to go to yoga.
Corey and I work out together in yoga 3 days a week. And I know he's a wonderful contributor. And so we're on that subject of a special gala, because at one point we were going to hope to have, different people on the program who represent the Suzy Q, and they've been very involved.
Mm-hmm.
So your president, your director,
certainly Nadia,
and Nadia and Christine.
Christine did a fantastic job with that.
And so tell us a little bit about how that came off and all the planning that went into that.
Oh, well, that was quite amazing. Christine really does. She did an absolutely fantastic job. I think she's been there 14 or 15 years, and she has her fingers in every pie. I mean, she helps with the programming. She puts together the events. She's absolutely fabulous. And
she's on the front line.
Yeah, she really is.
Absolutely.
And people love her. I mean, when I was doing the interviews for the video, a lot of the volunteers were like, can I say something really nice about Christine? I really want to say how wonderful she is. We love her. She's kind. She's wonderful. And Nadia is so gracious and just an amazing face for the Suzy Q, I think. She's just...
Nadia was also part of the AAUW, which is the American Association of University Women.
Uh-huh.
And when she started working full time, I don't think it was enough time because there's so much to do at the Suzy Q.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us a little bit about providing the food, because I know that's really important. Not only I was unaware that it was 3 times a week. I didn't know how many times they serve the lunches and how people go ahead and, sign up for that. If people want to know, you can tell them about that. And also who provides the food, because I know there's food that comes in after our stand-up yoga, which is immediately gobbled up, and coffee and everything. I mean, it's just incredible.
Mm-hmm. Well, I wish I could tell you more about that, but honestly, it's with AgeWell. And I don't know all the details about that.
Maybe Ricky can talk about
So
that.
AgeWell is the organization that some of you might know who also provides Meals on Wheels. So they're the ones that are going out into the community and providing those warm meals for people that are homebound. And so as a collaborative kind of satellite community at the Suzy Q, they also serve lunch on site, as you were saying, the 3 days a week. But that's most of what I know about it.
Yes, and then who provides the food that is put out, all those pastries and things like that?
I think those are just local donations. Correct?
Isn't that wonderful?
Yes. Yeah.
And then we put $1 or $5 or whatever in the kitty for that,
right,
to help that, to encourage that. But there's always a gentleman out there doing that.
Yes, there's Brian. I don't forget his last name, but he's a volunteer. And of course, the volunteers are fantastic. And that's what's so nice. Our evening with an author has been so terrific, because we have Marie Stone, who is just an incredible conversationalist. And, she has her own Writers on Writing podcast. And we've had fantastic authors. We get, between 70 and 90 people at these events. But what's nice is that before that, we have this spread of food and some wine, so people can mingle and talk to each other. Book clubs come. So it's really the sense that the Suzy Q is somewhere where you come and you meet people. You're, exposed to different ideas through some of the programs and the books. And
from a practical standpoint, it's the free parking. It's easy to find. It's not a hassle at all. I love going there because I know even the busy times of the day, I got a place to park, and you just take the elevator up to the main level, and there's no one should have any excuses. Let's put it that way.
Exactly. And let me put in a plug for our next author evening, because we have Stephen Rowley, who lives in Palm Springs, and he's written this book called The Guncle, and also The Guncle Abroad. A guncle is a gay uncle, and this gay uncle gets saddled with his 2 young nieces and has to learn how to deal with it. And it's hilarious. And he is apparently a fantastic speaker. That's going to be May 28th. So we're hoping people will.
He needs to.
comment.
I would love to get him on Rainbow Radio prior to him being there and talk about that. So
You'll have to give her a call.
yeah,
Yes.
that would be great. I love guests on the program, and while we're at it, I'm going to plug it. It is every Sunday from 10 until noon, and I do
Okay.
have guests and I interview what's going on in their lives when it's LGBTQ related, but it is for everyone. It's not. That's the equality part of it. That's the way it should be, and so. I would love to have what is the author
Stephen
name?
Rowley.
Stephen.
I'll make sure that
Yeah.
I contact him and let him know to contact you.
Yeah, and I'll put a lot of media out there as much as I can.
Thank you. We
Yeah,
really
that would be
appreciate that.
I should say this is KXFM 104.7. If you're just tuning in, it is Art Walking Radio. We are here the second Thursday of each month. Leah Vasquez and I are the hosts here every week or every month. And our special guests tonight are Lynette Brassfield and Ricky Redman.
We were talking about the board members, and
Oh,
I'd
right.
like to continue on and just get a little plug for every one of them.
Mhm.
We were talking about Kitty, Catherine Malcolm, and then we have also people who have been here a very long time, like Wayne Baglin.
You may know Wayne more than I do, actually. So
Well, certainly Wayne has been a resident in Laguna Beach, and he's been involved with the city for a very long time. And he's in real estate as well. He served as mayor 3 times for our city, and he's been on many boards. He's been on the State of California Regional Water Quality Board and the San Diego Region, Director of Laguna Beach County Water District, Chair, and in the Water Management Agency. And he's the President, Festival of Arts Board. So Board of Directors and Chair of Laguna Beach Arts Alliance. So he was born here in California in Glendale and graduated from Cal State University, Northridge. And he served in the Coast Guard as well. So it's interesting also that Wayne's wife, Faye, worked with my son in law.
Oh, really?
Yes, when he was early in the law game a long time ago. But, he talks about her very fondly. So, and I see Wayne there. And, I wish we could have everybody on at one time. But, it's enough to get 3 of us together and then 4 of us together, of course. And it always is the last minute, which I always am amazed at. But then we go on to, and I don't know this person, Gerard Curtin. Maybe you know a little more about him.
I don't know him terribly
I know
well.
him.
Do you know?
I know him
then you
very
can
well.
speak.
Oh,
well. Well, do
great.
you want to
can
talk-
speak to him.
He's he's the husband of Dr. Haspert, who's been very generous at the clinic in Laguna Beach and very many Doctors Without Borders and everything. And he just retired from Toshiba, and he is committed himself to help nonprofits in Laguna Beach. He is a very powerful attorney.
Okay.
And he in his, I think it was some like 20 some odd years working for Toshiba on the executive level. He just retired.
Years.
26?
26 years until semi-retiring in 2018. He in the law
And they-
in
and
the
they
corporate
drew-
law field.
Yeah, and then they drew him back. They said, "Listen, can you please come back?" I mean, that's a nice thing, because he was so familiar with the organization and what their needs were. So he just retired this yesterday. He announced it.
Really?
And so you'll probably be seeing more of Jerry. And what can I say? He's got a witty sense of humor. He's very, very, very supportive of the community and a brilliant individual. So I'm glad to see he's on your board. I saw
yeah.
that. Yeah.
One of the things that I was reading is that he supports the board as a problem solver with a passion for maximizing use of technology to improve outcomes and efficiency.
Wow,
So he
that's
sounds like a really interesting person. Maybe we can get some of the board members on here at another time.
That would be great. Yeah.
Toshiba is a technology company, so
Yes.
it makes sense that he's well versed in that. Yeah.
It does. And we do our best with social media and web pages, but we could definitely do with more expertise in that area, I'll be honest.
How about a digital hub?
Well, we need that.
Then we need that.
And then we
Anyway.
have Greg D. Nicola. He was also involved with the Historic Society.
Right. He's fabulous. Yeah.
And he's with Caduceus Medical
Mhm.
Group. So, he's a history enthusiast, and he joined the Historical Society and served as president. And he's also president and founder of the Citrus Historical and Preservation League.
Mhm.
And then, of course, we talked about Christopher Regan, who has been
Mhm.
on a number of times, how wonderful he is with the Water District. And then Monica Richards, whom I don't know, but
Oh.
I understand she's a native Californian, and she moved to Santa Ana with her husband many years ago, and she was in Siberian Husky Rescue. Do you know about
I
that?
don't know about that. I do know that she attended the Christmas happening in Laguna Beach in 1970. Do you know of that in the canyon? It was kind of like the mini Woodstock.
Yes, I lived
yeah.
there then.
Oh, okay. So you know. So
Yes.
she was there.
Oh well, we'd have a lot to talk about. I
You
mean,
should
that's
get in
when
touch with her sometime.
Yeah.
She's funny. She's
I
great.
bet we'd enjoy that.
Yeah.
She said that her mother and uncle took pleasure in taking part in the activities at the
Mhm.
Susie Q, and especially enjoyed bingo.
Mhm.
So, in their honor, Monica participates in bingo as a volunteer and supports the program through generous gifts. I
Right.
think that's really nice. It would be fun to have her on and talk about those days, because my son was sent home from El Moro. He's about 7 years old I asked him why. He said, well, they said that the teachers were going on a trip. That was the days. So do I need to say more? That was the time. And then we have Catherine Salter, who you probably know as well. And she does a lot of financial seminars and work with small business owners. And she joined the board in 2022. And she serves as the board chairwoman of Human Options Shelter for Battered Women and the Children in Irvine. And there's more about her too, but she joined the board in 2022, and her past background was with St. Jude Hospital as well. And the two other people that would be certainly important to mention is Francine Cinto.
Mhm. She and George joined fairly recently, within the last 6 months. Yeah.
Right, and she was elected to public office 6 times in the area of K-12 education and higher education, actually. And she's the vice president of Orange County Associates, an asset management company, and she has a lot of experience in government, private sectors, and nonprofits in that field of finance. So she's a longtime donor also, and supports the arts, environment, and community organizations. And she serves as treasurer for the Laguna Beach Greenbelt, which is also very active, for acquisitions of land and preservation of open space. And then George, I didn't know that. Did they know each other? Is that how they joined together?
No, George is actually Corey's partner now.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, right. He has spoken of George.
Right.
Oh, all right. So George Heed. So he was served as board chair for the Westview Vocational Services and responsible for daily care of almost 4,000 people with developmental disabilities in the 80s and 90s.
No pressure there.
No, I mean, those people are saints. They really are. And when I go and visit friends in memory care, I tell those people that they are so exceptional.
Mhm.
I mean, it takes so much effort, and they do it so graciously. And people put their parents in these places, or they have to go into them because
Mhm.
they're, for safety reasons,
Mhm.
also
Mhm.
for health and safety. So this is wonderful that he's been involved in that. And, he took on the role of treasurer and president of the Laguna Playhouse as it transitioned from a community
Mhm.
playhouse, to the community, to a professional theater. And he's also served on the governance committee of the Laguna Beach Community Clinic and chaired its development committee and served as president-elect. And a couple of years ago, last year, he co-chaired the Susie Q Legacy
And again this
ball,
year.
and this year too.
Yeah.
So it's quite fantastic that the people who are behind and the scenes, and they're not really behind the scenes at all. They're right out there. But we don't see them as when we're taking our yoga class with Wayne, because Wayne can do anything.
Oh, Wayne looks like he's amazing, isn't he?
He's amazing.
Lenore is the president of the board of Suzy Q.
Renee
Hinchy.
Renee Hinchy, yeah.
Renee Hinchy. I did tell us a little story about Renee, because we had an event there for the Club Q, and this nice lady came over, and we're sitting, I don't know, it was a fiesta or whatever we do. We have themed parties, right? And she sat down next to me, and I thought, well, I'd be nice to say hello. Who this woman, I don't know who she is. And so we talked and we talked and we talked. So 45 minutes went by. I don't know what we talked about, but it was all important about solving the problems of the world. And, and I knew she was a very dynamic, very engaged person. And I truly enjoyed the conversation. So a while later, she wandered off, and people were coming. Oh, you talked to Lenore?
Renee.
Renee, you talked to Renee. I go, yeah. Well, she's the president, and I'm going, president of what?
Ignorance is bliss.
But what it told me, there was no pretense.
No,
in the
it's not
conversation.
pretentious in any way. And that's the thing I find about all these people, that the giving is so incredible. And they do it with humor, and they put up with nonsense sometimes, and they're patient.
It's not hierarchical at all.
No.
We're all in it together.
And I think Nadia sets a great tone.
Yes, she does.
Because she is anything but hierarchical. She never toots her own horn.
Exactly. We all go in there and put out the chairs together. We do whatever it takes to make things a success. And we don't.
So tell us what you're looking forward to. Tell us about some of the special things that you want to do there, and what you're looking forward to in terms of helping.
Well, I mean, a lot of things that we do, like, again, I like to promote things that are fun, like we are partnering with Bare Bones Theatre, which Lojo Simon, does play readings. So we're going to start doing that, and those are all fun and wonderful things. But we also have so many great programs partnering with the Alzheimer's Association. We are having one called Mind Your Brain, about cognitive exercises that can help. We have a former occupational therapist who's retired, who's going to be talking about assistive devices, very simple things that you can use to make sure that you're, have everything that you need to stay safe at home. And again, Ricky can talk a lot about that, and about nutritional health. So there's a lot of things that we can be fun and informative and educational. Also, the Science Salon has been there for 15 years.
The Science Salon?
Science Salon.
So I haven't heard about that, and I've been there for quite a while. Tell us a little bit about the Science Salon.
The Science Salon has been there for 15 years, and what they do is they will talk about some article in a science publication, everything from AI to, CRISPR gene potential, things like that. They talk about it, they discuss it. Somebody will take the lead on it, but everybody contributes. So they've been doing this, for quite a long time.
This is wonderful. I noticed that the programs that you have here, I have a list of them here, and you have everything. I mean, it's so amazing, the array of things that are available. The Death Cafe.
Yes.
Heart-to-heart support.
Yes.
In person and via Zoom topics you have, and people who are shut in at home, they can still be part of it.
Exactly.
And then these conversations, caring conversations, things like that with Ricky, and we'll talk about that a little bit later with Ricky. And then also care management and hearing screenings and Shakespeare. I mean, the array, I go on and on. Feeling the Blues. Okay, there's a class for that. Then there's Shakespeare at the Suzy Q. And you get into the elevator and you see new programs up all the time. and you say, I want to do that, you could be there night and day.
You could.
So how late does it stay open?
Well, usually only till about 6:30 or so, because the arrangement that we have with the city is such that we can't have too many late programs. But we've been trying to have more and more that are at least like 5 to 6:30 or 5 to 7, because of our desire to get younger people, younger seniors involved. But that's about as late as we can go.
We should petition the city.
Yeah.
But is there a reason? I'm asking if you, either one of you know, is there a reason why late, especially summertime, when it's light out, why it can't stay open later? What is the reason?
It's a contractual thing. You know,
Oh,
it's something
okay.
that you'd have to talk to Nadia
I
about.
see.
I'm not sure exactly
She
why.
would know, right?
We don't want to bore our listeners anyway, do we?
No. But for instance, they
We'll
have.
get Jerry Curtin on that case.
Right. But I love the fact that you have meditation, and then you have writers' workshops.
Mhm.
You have people who come in for all kinds of
No,
things.
you're forgetting one very, very important aspect,
Go ahead.
and it has to do with art.
Well, that's true. We know we've had
Very
Bill.
few.
We've
We've
talked
had-
about it before on the program, but yes, you do have. Not only is it a beautiful facility with a beautiful library and a nice patio off the library, so you could go out, drink your coffee or whatever you want to do, but they have an art program.
They
Alea,
have
go ahead.
they have a really wonderful person there, Bill Atkins, who in his own right does posters and signs all over the city, has won numerous awards, and is involved, as you know, in
Mhm.
setting up all these incredible exhibits.
I like to say of Bill, that people, if they don't know him, they go, well, you do know his art. I can guarantee
The
you,
whale tail.
you know his art. Yes. And then they go, well, how can you say it? Because he's on license plates in California. If you've ever seen a few license plates, you'll get the whale of the tail, or the tail of the
Tail
whale.
of the whale.
The tail of the
It's a
whale.
whale of a tail.
Yeah, it exists. There you go. But yeah,
That is great. And then you have Art Aware, WEAR,
Mhm.
Art Aware.
Mhm.
So that, you know, on every first Tuesday of the month, they have this group that, you know, they learn from each other. And they're painters on material, knitters and crocheters and quilters, not to mention the Susie Q, of course, quilter. Sewers,
Oh, yeah.
sewers or sewers? I think
So-
they're
must
spelled
be
the same.
sewers.
No, that's the problem with the English language. And then the thread artists, beaters, and hat, purse, doll, and card makers. So it's an incredible thing that they have all these events taking place. And so people in the community, if they want to go ahead and get more involved, how would they do that?
The best thing is always to go to the website, which is thesusieq.org.
The SusieQ.
and I probably shouldn't say this, but don't get confused and get on the city website, because it's hard to
Yes.
find the Susie Q on the city website.
Yeah.
There's so much on that. I'm not dissing them, but there's so much information in the city that the Susie Q gets a bit lost in it. So go to the individual website,
Yep.
the Susie Q.
Yeah, thesusieq.org.
Uh,
And right in we have this monthly e-blast newsletter that has all our programs for the month. And if you go onto the website, you can click on that and go directly to sign up for the programs, most of which are free.
Mm.
So go there, explore the website, see all these different clubs, the Ancestry Club, the Art Aware Club, so many of them. Obviously Club Q.
Yeah, that's there.
So yeah, go there and
Something for
enjoy.
everyone.
There is. There really is.
I just wanted to clarify too the spelling of the Susie Q, because that tends to throw people off. So
Oh,
it's
good-
the Susie is
point.
SUSI, and then just the letter Q.org.
Yes, very important. I
Well,
had that issue myself.
We're
You know,
so
everybody does. Yeah.
I know that Lynette has to leave. Is there anything you want to leave as a final word for anybody that's listening?
I just want to say how absolutely wonderful the experience at Susie Q has been for me. The people are fabulous. There's kindness, there's love, there's appreciation. anybody who walks in that place knows what a very special place it is, and I feel that very much. So I do hope people will go to the website and explore more.
We want to thank you so much
for
being here, and we'll continue with Ricky Redmond after our break. Thank you again.
Thank you so much.
Our pleasure.
This is KXFM 104.7, Laguna Beach's FM radio, community radio, that is.
Thank you for letting me go.
Imagine me and you, I do. I think about you day and night. It's only right to think about the girl you love and hold you tight. So happy together. If I should call you up, invest a dime, and you say you belong to me, and lose my mind. Imagine how the world could be so very fine, so happy together. I can't see me loving nobody but you for all my life. When you're with me, baby, the skies will be blue for all my life. You and me, no matter how they toss the dice, it had to be. The only one for me is you, and you for me, so happy together. I can't see me loving nobody but you for all my life. When you're with me, baby, the skies will be blue for all my life. Me and you and me, no matter how they toss the dice, it had to be. The only one for me is you, and you for me, so happy together. And you and me, no matter how they toss the dice, it had to be. The only one for me is you, and you for me, so happy together. So happy together. How is the weather? So happy together. We're happy together. So happy together.
I can see clearly now, the rain is gone. I can see all obstacles in my way. Gone are the dark clouds that had me blind. It's gonna be a bright, 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 sunshiny day. Gonna be a bright, 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 sunshiny day. I think I can make it now. The pain is gone. All of the bad feelings have disappeared. Here is that rainbow I've been praying for. Gonna be a bright, 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 sunshiny day. Look all around, there's nothing but blue sky. Look straight ahead, nothing but blue sky.
KXRN LP, Laguna Niguel, Laguna Beach. KXFM on 104.7, KXFMradio.org.
Hello, this is Craig at KXFM 1047 Community Radio. Tune in, turn on to Rainbow Radio every Sunday from 10 a.m. to noon for a powerful and inclusive weekly program as we spotlight LGBTQ plus artists, authors, movie producers, community leaders, and cultural events in Laguna Beach. Again, Craig every Sunday at 10 a.m. Rainbow Radio.
Aloha, uhe, komo mai. I'm Tommy J, and we'll take off each Sunday evening from 5 to 7, writing vintage surf music and tropical island vamps on KXFM on 104.7 airwaves. Local Laguna musicians will drop in to hot dog never-before-heard tracks of their original creations for your smooth ride home with 10 toes on the nose. Streaming worldwide at kxfmradio.org and on the free mobile app, you'll feel the pulse of the Pacific and mellow vibe of Laguna tropical surf.
Oh, we are back here. This is Craig with Art Walking Art Radio. Art Walking, well, the URL is Art Walking Art, and it's Art Walking Radio here with Leah Vasquez and Ricky Redman of the Susie Q fame. If you're just tuning in and you missed her intro in the first half hour, Ricky has 14 years of experience working with seniors, including with Alzheimer's, Orange County, where she managed their memories and making art program and exhibition and scan health plan, where she was volunteer engagement specialist. With a passion in education, creativity, art, and community outreach, Ricky manages organizational priorities that best serve the clients. And this is my own topic. I want to talk. Ricky has a Bachelor of Arts with emphasis on therapeutic art. There we go, therapeutic art. She's also a certified instructor in Berin of Berin Center for Autobiographical Studies, and is currently training to be an end-of-life practitioner. That's a daring thing to do, dare I say.
Well, no, we're all going to face it. So it's a pretty practical thing to.
It's very practical, but in our society, it is not talked about. Ageism is still with us. And people who are elderly are often looked as if they don't exist. Mm-hmm. And the beauty of what we're talking about tonight about the Susie Q is that people exist, mm-hmm. and they're listened to, and it's planned around them. And so you're very much a part of it. And we're so happy to have you here. Not only that, but we want to get into your own artwork, because when I met you, Ricky, mm-hmm. The first thing I noticed was the work you're doing with visual art, making of art. And I think that's really beautiful that you have that balance, mm-hmm. not only therapeutic art, but your own art in which you express yourself.
Yeah, definitely.
So where did you grow up, and where did you get training, and how did you get inspired to do what you do?
Sure. I grew up just down the road in Newport Beach, and went to Newport L all the way up to OCC. So got most of my education here, and then went to San Francisco State, where I was an interior design dropout, actually. So I was planning on going more into the arts field, and didn't pursue that with my degree, but took various courses in therapeutic arts and holistic health. And so once I graduated from college and was working for a furniture designer and loving it in the beginning, and then realizing how quickly it felt it just felt kind of hollow, honestly. You know, it was like working to sell. And that started to feel like it was a little aching on my heart. And so what I started looking for was a volunteer role where I could focus on using art for the power that it is through kind of those therapeutic art programs.
That is so wonderful, because you have this compass inside of you that directs you. And I think that's a wonderful thing. Oh, I'd like to shine a big beacon in the sky and say, follow your heart, you know, because we are a society that has always put a lot of emphasis, and understandably, that everyone has to make a living. But when you have a passion and a love of something, that will follow anyway.
Yes.
And, you know, it may not be the millions that you might get out of real estate or furniture design or whatever, but it gives you a purpose in life, and that purpose pulls you all the way through the aging process.
Yes, it definitely does. When I'm talking with clients in the community and trying to figure out how can we better assist them in aging, one of the main things that I'm always asking is, what does quality of life mean to you? What is your meaning? What is purpose? And then how do we focus on bringing more of that to you, regardless of where you are at in life?
And that then leads us to these incredible courses and projects that are going on. You get it, like I said, when Lynette was here, you step into the elevator, and almost every time you step in, you're going to see something. It's a comedy cafe, or it's someone that's going to be teaching opera, or you know, there's just so many things. Talk about a few of them that are coming up and that you really are passionate about.
Well, I know we talked about this earlier. I was really excited for the stand-up comedians to come today, just because it's something new for us, and, you know, laughter is such great medicine. So I thought that was really neat. We've had a lot of conversations, one of which coming up is on like the native plants and flowers.
Is that the Garden Club that's going to be part of it?
I believe it's the Garden Club that's presenting it.
Yes.
So I'm super excited for that, because I'm a big nature lover. And then we also have really great programs, like you had mentioned, kind of some of our support groups that are available. We have a group where it's really just the heart to heart is really to allow people to just connect. It's not necessarily a grief support group. It's really just where you can come and kind of be vulnerable and get to know one another. I've started hosting caring conversations. And so these are one-on-one consultations with anyone in the community that wants to talk about end-of-life issues. So that could be existential crisis. It could be practical things. It could be just talking about, you know, how do I talk to my kids about death? I've had so many of our members that tell me my kids basically plug their ears when I try to talk to them about the fact that one day I'm no longer going to be here, right? And so
it's difficult.
Trying to give space to people to be able to navigate some of those challenging conversations.
And on a practical side, for instance, do you have referrals for people, say, who want to be cryogenically preserved? I mean, you know, my son is always teasing me about that I've already been preserved. But anyway, but I mean, there's so many things now. There's, you know, at UCI, they have a willed body program. I'm part of that. My family was a part of that. You know, if they still want you, at least you'll be wanted there.
Yeah.
You know, and then there's other things, you know, how to leave something in a memory for you. Certainly the Susie Q is a memory already, as we spoke about, that the place itself, even though, you know, Chris Coulter's mother wouldn't have wanted that, nevertheless, it's a wonderful thing. And I noticed on the wall where we have our standing yoga, there are names of people who have, they're remembered right there. You know, each room has a name on it. Now, if somebody wants to contribute to that and wants to be part of that, can they do that? Is there a way to do that?
You can certainly reach out to us. Nadia would probably be who you would be talking to, and that's kind of part of your legacy, right?
And so Nadia Baibi is the executive director of, and she's wonderful. And there's she sets a tone in there of generosity. The hierarchy which you usually get in almost every place, is not there that I have seen.
Yeah, she's very down to earth. She has helped me set up rooms for events that I'm doing or break down the food and put it away. She does not think anything is above her, and she really sees us all as equals. She is really eager to give back to the community and to just create the most warm and welcoming space that we can.
And when I see people and talk about it, I've observed people who are left accidentally without a ride, say. So I will always do that, and I will take them home. They come out of Laguna Niguel, maybe they've forgotten. It happens, So I have said, and I hope other people who are listening will say the same thing. If you see someone, just ask them. Sometimes they don't remember what they're supposed to do.
Mm-hmm.
Just stay with them and try to find somebody who will help. Or if you can take them home.
Yeah, we're all a community, so we all want to be looking out for one another.
And even if it's out of town, I've driven to Laguna Niguel, and it makes you feel really good. So giving gives you more than receiving.
It certainly does. One of the things that I'm always talking about is how beneficial it is for people of any age to be able to volunteer and give back to the community. So many of our volunteers tell me, I kind of feel like I'm getting more out of this than the client that I'm working with, because it's really joyous, especially if you're a people person. You get to, if you're connected with an older adult, in Laguna especially, they've got some pretty unique stories, right? We've got an artist community. There were such a big hippie movement here. And so
we don't want to forget that.
I know. And so if you volunteer with us and you get matched with someone, you get to hear about these incredible stories. And it's just the nostalgia that comes with it. And then also really just reminding the older adults in our community that we do still cherish and value them, because as you've mentioned, we live in a society that is very ageist, and, to age and to, have wrinkles is almost a sin, right? And so sometimes I think, especially for maybe younger people, you see someone at the age that they're currently at, and you seem to think that they've always been that age or something. You forget that they've had this whole rich life, and that they were at one time a careless, reckless 18-year-old who could give you some really good stories if you sit down to listen.
And the other thing it does is it congeals the sense of community, because they carry the memory in Native American societies and most smaller societies at one time, and still they continue. They bring the legacy forward, because then you don't forget what was here, and we can very easily forget.
Something more on that too. I think family structure has changed. I think there was a time where when the grandmothers were older, there was part of the family, and the grandkids were there more often with the grandparents maybe than with their own parents. In a household that was multi-generational, and that's gone away pretty much, which is sad, because I think that speaks to the health of the older person being able to engage with a young person and share their life.
Well, especially when people move around for jobs and different things. At least it was. I've seen both sides of it. I visit friends who have family, and some of them need more care, and it is taxing. It's a lot of work. So having the Susie Q there,
Ricky,
and I see people coming there with spouses sometimes who leave them there so that they can do something on their own, which is very healthy. So I think that it's really wonderful. I also noticed it in your own artwork, which is very special. I'd like to talk about that. So tell us about your art, the choices and the things that you make and why you do that.
Well, I'm going to circle back to what you had referenced earlier, which was about kind of like knowing your compass and listening to your inner voice. Because I've had this inner voice in my head for most of my life that has told me, you're an artist, you're a creative. And yet it was something that I very easily pushed off to the side. I put being an artist, being, really giving myself the time and the space to create.
Why was that?
It didn't feel like the most important thing. I had a job to do. I also really thrive off of supporting other people and doing programs. So it was almost like I was getting inspired by helping other people create their own artwork. And so I just kept kind of, I'll do that later. And then yes. And the beautiful thing that happened is, being that I'm an end of life practitioner and that I am pretty regularly thinking about death, the positive side of that is that I finally listened to the nagging voice in my head that said, what regret will you have on your deathbed? If you were to die in the next few days, in the next month, in the next year, what do you need to make sure that you do in order to find meaning and purpose in your life? And it was just, you need to create art. And so because of that, I've spent the last couple of years actually regularly creating art.
Has Bill Atkins let you display any of it?
I did have one piece at the Suzy Q, for Gallery Q.
Yeah.
So I did a piece there, and it was inspired by nature, and also inspired by my great grandmother, who was, I'll say, an artist, not a professional artist, but she hand painted all of my grandfather's ties for him. She knitted, she crocheted. She was 100% an artist. And I inherited a box of her embroidery floss, and I've been holding on to it. I mean, she passed away when I was like 3. I don't know when I got it, but I've been holding on to it for probably 15, 20 years, not knowing what to do with all of this embroidery floss, because it's so precious, because it's limited, and because it's connected to my grandmother, right? I can go out and buy new floss, but it's not her floss. Mm-hmm. And so I created this piece that was representing the solstices and the equinoxes, thinking about time. And I did some hand stitching into the pieces and using her embroidery. It was all about the preciousness of time. And also kind of honoring all of my, maternal ancestors.
That is so beautiful. When I first saw your art, I didn't know who did it. And then I saw some in your office, and a lot of it was black and white, and the materials were hard materials. So tell us a little bit about that.
The symbolism, of course, of black and white just being kind of dualistic, and also recognizing the complexity that there's not just dualism, right? There's the spectrum within those dualities. And so much of it is rooted in, again, kind of life and death and cycles. So that is
it's like the yin and the yang. And we've seen that, that form.
I saw the yin and the yang when my dad worked at a local mortuary. He was a mortician, doctor of mortuary science specifically. And growing up, it was like, oh, that's what Dad does. He deals with deceased people. And I guess death seemed like, okay, well, that's what happens, kind of an attitude from a young kid, because, but, I remember our first tragic when we lost our dog. And that was the first time that it really hit me. But before that, it was like, my dad had an old hearse out behind the shed, and that was our plaything. And I thought everyone had to play things like that, and it was no big deal. So my perspective was much, I guess, just from a little kid perspective, we're not afraid.
Yeah.
Like you can be. Ricky, I'm gonna now, since I'm going on here a little bit. I'd like to know if you're changing the subject a little bit with research in medicine, when it comes to memory and the challenges that are going on in the medical industry with Alzheimer's and all. Are you familiar? Do you keep up on that, or do you know what's kind of happening? And is there any light there at the end of the tunnel on that?
I'm not as well versed as I should be. I know as far as kind of the arts engagement and the healthy brain, whether you have Alzheimer's or dementia or not, right? It's so good for our mental health and our cognitive health. And it's kind of any creative exercise. Actually playing or learning music is one of the best things you can do for your brain exercise. And, you see that with people with Alzheimer's or dementia, where they may not be able to communicate and they may be pretty withdrawn, and you put on some music that they're familiar with and they light up, they become lively, they, it
You know,
brings those memories
You
back.
want to see a great example of that? Tony Bennett on his final tour with Lady Gaga, and the next day he had no memory of this concert, but they would bring up a song and
He'd know it right away.
there he was, and Lady Gaga, he would talk to her, and he just, everything was so and so confident, and then the next day it was sad, but I think the positive side of it is that music brings back a lot that has been lost, and if it can sustain it, that's even better.
Yep,
But-
certainly.
The other thing in Wayne's standing yoga class, one of the things I've spoken to him about, and we exchange ideas, and Corey certainly, being a doctor, he knows about this too, but people go in there and they have to remember the steps, the small things. He starts off with some of the yoga and the chants, sa ta na ma, and we do that. And the little footsteps, the little things, and people come in there who definitely, because you can recognize it, have memory loss, but they end up doing the exercises, and then following the regular class, he goes into about 15 minutes of doing a lot of these wonderful exercises that have to do with, the Oriental meditation, different types of movements, and it is like a dance. And in dance, you have to remember steps, and it is so good for the brain. So again, the Suzy Q provides this way to access memory through movement and through communication in different ways, music, and friendship.
Yes.
And feeling safe. And that's really beautiful.
Ricky, on therapeutic art, because we've talking about art, music, or whether it's art helping, a dear friend of mine, her thesis was art as therapy, and it was more like traditional art, but could be any kind of art. But there's a younger generation, there's a multitude of other people that are not suffering ageism, but they're suffering, maybe they're so withdrawn and so inside them. Did you study some of that and how therapeutic art can help bring out that person that's silent? Or
I don't have like a clinical experience with using therapeutic art, so it's much more of the experiential. How is the process of giving someone kind of a nonverbal way of communicating and expressing as a form to gain more confidence in yourself?
Do you find people come out and are more engaging when they do
Definitely. And it's pretty incredible if you get to do. So I should also say, like, therapeutic arts, different than art therapy, right? So therapeutic arts is really just about having a space, a place, a time to be able to look within and get creative and just express something that might be going on, something that we might not even necessarily be aware of, right? So sometimes we learn about ourselves, we paint something, we draw something, we, do a dance, and we recognize that which we're expressing. We understand that which needed to be shared when we might not have necessarily even known prior to that.
And I appreciate your identifying that distinction between art therapy and therapeutic art. Because those are two different things.
So I'm not like a licensed art therapist or anything like that. It's more of the social emotional aspects of why art is so powerful.
Now, Leah, I mean, to think we have this in our own community center, this kind of brain power and support to the community is it's unbelievable.
Well,
I mean,
the arts in this community are still alive, and they have been the linchpin for identification of Laguna Beach. And it's important to keep that alive because, you have you had BC Space, which is now the cultural center. We have the festivals. We have all of these things that people come from everywhere. The thing that's wonderful is that there's such a variety of things going on with so many people. And I know from my own experience teaching art and being part of art all my life, it opens doors. Art is one of the most significant things, and to lose that in the schools and to have those diminished in any way takes away so much, because that is one of the oldest forms. I mean, you look at the Lascaux cave paintings, you look at how people keep memories, the touch of the hand, the sound of a pipe, a panpipe, drumming, everything that has to do with the arts, not just visual, but acoustic in every other way. And the plays, the Japanese, kabukis and all that. It's just so rich, and it's everywhere in the world. And we don't want to lose that. And Laguna Beach is a very special place. I always ask people, why did you come to Laguna? I always love to ask that question.
Well, it's funny that you say that in talking about art. It's no surprise that when I was in high school, we used to come to Laguna and we would get ice cream and we would walk down the streets and we would go to all of the art galleries. This was always like our friends, we'd have an art day. And that's what we would come here for. So very much solidified in the community that this is the artist community. This is where you're going to be. And I hope that it continues to thrive and grow. That is something that to me feels so, so important to preserve here, because it is what has made Laguna a unique city within Orange County and within just kind of California in general.
I have spoken to a number of people on the board of the festival, and for many years, because I was an exhibitor there a long time ago. But I have felt that even though things change, the adaptation to that change would be to increase the visibility of the arts. And one of the things that we could do is to have an international biennale in Laguna Beach, which we haven't done. And
what's a biennale?
A biennale would be like an annual venue for international artists of all types. And that, what the festival usually has, say either festival, but the main festival, for instance, they do all kinds of wonderful things. But during the year, they could also do an international festival. And that means you bring in people from all over the world to speak about their art, to show their art, to have, it's just so rich. And I've developed a, kind of a theme for it, which I'd love to share. But the thing is that the arts give us the form of expression we need. And it also calms you. It excites and calms at the same time, which is very interesting. It includes cuisine as well.
Yeah.
And we've had programs on that here. It includes anything you could possibly think of. There's been links. We were talking a few minutes ago about, memory. Craig brought that up. My background's in physiology and in art. So I've combined them. And at one time, when I was in school, you had to choose a path like you talked about, but combining, and is what you talked about, is combining both.
Yep.
And there's no reason why you can't combine all. And what the Suzy Q does is it gives you all. It gives you everything from support to conversations, to learning about technology, to writing, to exercising, and then to see different age groups there, which I really love, because you see these young children going in with their
with all their tap shoes,
all their tap shoes and everything, and then they come pattering down, and then on the other end, you see people, talking about the end of life.
And, you kind of made me think of, I know this word is used a lot, holistic, right? But we do, in a sense, we have a holistic plethora of services, because we are thinking about aging and we're thinking about what are the social aspects that are really, really important. And we need to make sure we provide that. what are the educational pieces and the health classes that need to be available. You know, we have the like nurse sessions where you can meet with a Hoag nurse for free for 45 minutes to talk about.
I just saw that in the
it's
elevator.
Incredible. It's amazing.
I know, and that's amazing. You know, they have a sign in the elevator. Do you remember what it said? I can't remember.
Ask a nurse.
Ask a nurse. Yes, that's it.
So, you know, we're really looking at aging from a big picture and trying to figure out all of the ways in which we can support the community. And going back to the arts, there's so much research now about the many benefits of art, which is why to me it's so frustrating when the arts tend to be the first things to get cut, because it's like, you know,
art, and Leah and I have gone over this, art has been around to be in your face on many, many occasions, particularly political or commentary about life, but I just think now art is more important than ever. It's time to express things that we're unhappy with and things that we think need to be looked at or used in a way to make a statement or send a message, because that's really what art's about. And I hope artists can arise to the occasion, because at this point I feel in our world with social media and everything that goes on, art is a constant and a solid thing you can depend on. And like Bansky, the last, 6 months or whatever, all his art about what's going on about politics is it's front and center.
You know, he was here at the College of Art.
Yeah.
And I had the fortune of meeting him. And, you know, not many people know because he doesn't identify himself. But a picture is worth 1,000 words. Isn't that the statement?
Yeah.
And it's true. And right now you're seeing the use of art all over the world to stand up and say what is right. And I think that's exactly what we saw many, many times in every country. People make banners, they use pictures, because it does represent the inner soul.
And I think art is so powerful, particularly when there's not one way to view it.
That's right.
When it allows us as the viewers to really, really use it as a mirror and use it as an opportunity to understand ourselves better and to understand those around us. It gives us context to what's going on in our own life, but also on a greater picture. And it can also be a less divisive way of bringing up topics that can be really touchy or maybe can be more divisive. So it's such a important tool.
It opens
and it's
a conversation. That's what you're saying.
Well, you can, with one simple image, you can express a whole concept or idea visually.
And people can bring their
grasp
own to
it so quickly. But I never thought of that perspective, how what you're just putting out there, of that it helps you gain your own perspective.
And question your own perspective too.
Certainly.
Because in the doing, we're also looking within, you know. Another area too, because the Suzy Q offers wonderful classes and exhibitions there for the whole community. And I know recently I've spoken to the museum, Julie Perlin, and about coming on and talking about, because that's another thing, our museum here, the pairing of, that's the other real draw in Laguna. That the Suzy Q, along with the festivals and the Cultural Arts Center, and particularly the museum. The museum is doing incredible work there, and they always have. But I think under this new leadership with Julie Perlin, they're doing even more. And she also, like Nadia and everybody at the Suzy Q, she's brought in people who are extremely approachable. You know, they're not erudite. They're not talking down to you. And it's truly wonderful. And the shows are fantastic. The current shows, you know, the Laddie Dill and the things they're doing. And it inspires people. And it's well attended. And I'm so happy we have that museum here. And having these two anchors, actually 3 anchors, the Canyon being the anchor for all the public art festivals, the downtown with the Suzy Q anchor, and the North End with the museum.
Yeah, and just a reminder for Gallery Q, which is our art gallery that we have at the Suzy Q, we have 5 shows a year. And anyone's welcome to submit artwork. Any age can participate. This is not just about older adults. And it's amazing for artists who have never been able to show a piece to be able to be part of our community and to have their artwork up on the walls. We have an opening reception where, again, we have wine and we have snacks, and sometimes we have some live music. And it's, again, a great way to connect with the community. I always use this as a good opportunity for people that are maybe unsure about whether they want to come to a senior center. I'm like, come to the art gallery opening. It's really fun. You get to see how vibrant it is. And you get to meet a lot of people without a lot of pressure. You can mingle around.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of community centers in some other communities that are, it's a given warehouse that, they set up some tables in and it becomes a community center. But this one is, by all measure, is a 10 out of 10.
And that's why people who are not even seniors, quote unquote, want to come in and do things. I mean, they're fascinated with it. And there are young people. So I remember when it first started, and I was involved in that beginning portion of it. And I remember people were confused about, can young people come here? Because when you say senior center, then immediately they think it's not for everyone. But the truth is, it's 2 in 1. You're getting 2 for the price of 1.
Yes.
Which is great. And where does the support come from?
The financial support?
Yes.
We are, at the Suzy Q, we are a private nonprofit. So we do not receive government funding. We are funded primarily through donations. Really, local donations are what keep us going. So we are always grateful for community members that want to support us and that really see the value in the work that we're doing, because that's what keeps us open.
Well, I was really delighted for this last event that Corey, was so much a part of it and giving so much. And
for the gala?
For the gala.
Yes, incredible.
That happened. When did that?
That was just last weekend.
That's what I thought.
And that's part of why, in the very beginning when we were planning to have Nadia and Christine on, they were up to
it was a hard time of a year for them to.
On the other hand, it's given us an opportunity to have Lynette and Ricky, for you to be here. And I think it's wonderful because we'll have other people on too. And I'm looking forward to having Julie Perlin on and, enjoying listening to people because we have so much talent. That's the thing that no matter who you talk to, I don't care where they are, somebody has something marvelous to say, and they have things that, why wait till you have to have a tombstone, so to speak? Speaking, and you were talking about your father, Craig, being in the cemeteries, and he was a physician. Did you say?
A doctor of mortuary science.
A doctor of mortuary science. I like that very much because I grew up in a mortuary in a graveyard. My family owns graveyards on the East Coast, and my brother and I, rascals that we were, loved to go into graves. And all my life, wherever I've traveled with my friends, we go to graveyards because it's history. And also the monuments are fantastic. And the things that you learn, so it's kind of wonderful. I mean, there's no beginning and no end. We it's part of life, but in our culture, we don't really want to talk about aging and about the end. But really, when you look at it, when you think about the end, you look at a leaf and you see that it falls off of a tree and it has what looks like a hand, especially if you look carefully at your sycamore leaves. And then you see it curling up. One side's crispy, the other side's soft. It gets smaller and smaller. It breaks down slowly. But does it disappear? We know that nothing disappears. So the energy that
energy
one
doesn't
has,
die.
and the energy doesn't die. So therefore, there, even without the isms, we have energy that will last. And we can conjure up, and we do all the time, those who are not here.
Yep. I want to toss in 6 Feet Under, the movie. Did you have you seen any of those episodes?
I'm not sure.
I think you would, because it's about time and end of life, and my mother who was married to a mortician and had a lot of, and as our whole family were involved in it. I would go over to her house and we would watch it every week because she just loved it so much. And everyone would go, why would you watch something called 6 Feet Under? But it's quite the opposite in my book, because it's celebrating life and realizing how precious it is and how important it is for you to be careful in your life and enjoy every moment. That's what it's about. That was the message I saw over and over again. And it was very heartwarming. So I highly recommend, if you haven't seen any of the series, just the opening one, introduction one, is worth a good watch.
I will definitely check it out. And
yeah.
I love what you said, because people tend to think like it's morbid to talk about death or to have a relationship with death or to watch something. And the reality is, looking at death and looking at our mortality is all about celebrating someone's life.
Right.
Yeah.
And not only that, it is very funny sometimes because, you know, humor comes from the dark point too, you know, and that keeps us going. In fact,
there was a lot of dark humor in it.
I'm looking over your shoulder, Craig.
Yes.
And the sign right behind you. And it says, be good humans.
Yeah.
You know,
my mantra for this holiday season was, make somebody happy, you will be happy too.
That's it.
And I played every song that every artist ever sung makes someone happy, because I think that's what it's really about. And I always like to say, a wink, a smile, and a nod. Everyone should give one of those away every day. It's free, and just acknowledge someone. If you just tuned in, this is KXFM 104.7. It's Art Walking Radio, as we are every second Thursday of every month here in Laguna Beach. My co-host is Leah Vesquez, and we're enjoying conversation with Ricky Redmond. We're going to play Here Comes Good Morning Starshine, and we'll be right back. Version, sorry. We're moving along. The more positive song. Yeah, here we go. This is much better. Sorry, folks. I edited that one. I curated it. The music. All right.
Here comes the sun. Here comes the sun. I say it's all right. It's darling, it's been a long, cold, lonely winter. It's darling, it feels like years since it's been here. Here comes the sun. Here comes the sun. I say it's all right. The smiles returning to the faces. Darling, it seems like years since it's been here. Here comes the sun. Here comes the sun. And I say it's all right. I feel that ice is slowly melting. Yes, darling, it seems like years since it's been clear. I used to visit all the very gay places, those come what may places, where one relaxes on the axis of the wheel of life to get the feel of life. From jazz and cocktails, the gals I knew had sad and sullen gray faces with distant gay traces that used to be there. You could see where they'd been washed away by too many through the day.
It's so important to make someone happy. Make just one someone happy. Make just one heart-to-heart view. You sing to one smile that cheers you, one face that lights when it nears you, one girl you're everything to fame. If you win it, comes and goes in a minute. Where's the real stuff in life to cling to? Love is the answer. Someone to love is the answer. Once you've found her, build your world around her. Make someone happy. Make just one someone happy, and you will be happy too.
Oh, no one says that better than Jimmy Durante. And it is true. If you make someone happy, you will be happy too.
Great. Give us a little, before you go on, give us a little Jimmy Durante.
Make someone happy. Make just one someone happy. I love the line in there too that says, fame, excuse me, fame, if you win it, comes and goes in a minute. Where's the real stuff in life to cling to?
And he had that
Love
voice.
is the answer. Yeah.
And that wonderful shake his head.
Oh, this is a karaoke night here on KXFM. Anyway, if you're just tuning in, it's that time of month again. It's Art Walking Radio on the second Thursday of the month. And we're so glad that you've been here for, if you've been here for this last hour. We're just wrapping up our second hour. It's a 2-hour program. And again, we want to thank our sponsors. They're fabulous. It is Laguna Beach Beautification Council. It's all about everything beautiful in Laguna Beach, and they've been our sponsor forever and ever. If you can support them and hook up with them and, catch up with them. Also, this program, if you've missed it, is simulcast right now. It's live streaming on YouTube under the title of Art Walking Laguna Beach. And also we will have the podcast of the entire 2-hour program later tomorrow afternoon on the website artwalking.art. It's not artwalking.com or org. It's artwalking.art.
And we have had a program for over 5 years now. And it started a long time ago, but of course, COVID came in. But nevertheless, we've had this program and we have a lot of interesting people. And Absolutely. It has been supported by various groups right now, as Craig just said. It's being supported by Laguna Beach Beautification Council. Now, the Beautification Council does incredible work. They work with the city and partnering with different organizations throughout the city to inspire people to keep aware of natural and the built beauty of Laguna Beach. And we have awards for
awards for the outstanding
ceremonies. And right now, and I
Yeah.
want to put a plug in for this since I'm part of the Beautification Council. Right now, we would like people to go out, and it's the most beautiful time with plants. So you've seen all these flowers are blooming because of the moisture we've had. Take a photograph and send it to us. You can reach me at Leah Vasquez 360 at gmail.com. You can go online and look up Laguna Beach Beautification Council, and you can send it to our website there. We would love to have your photograph and give you credit for it. Show us something that is spectacular in Laguna. It can be part of the built or natural environment, but there's so much to do. And if anybody would like to become a member of the Beautification Council, please don't hesitate to call me or to contact me. Again, it's Leah Vasquez, all small letters, LeahVasquez 360 at gmail.com.
Wow. Okay, we're back with we have just like 20 minutes, or no, we have 18 minutes
What
left
can
here.
we do in 18 minutes? Well, let's go back to Ricky.
Well, yeah, let's go back to what we haven't discussed, and we've discussed many things, but I think the most remarkable thing I've learned tonight is just all of what the Susie Q encompasses, and it's not just what you might imagine or what you might understand senior centers in quotes would be, because this is a real community center, and it's bringing both sides, all ages of the community. Let's say that there's no age discrimination. In fact, Club Q, I always say, anyone who's interested, it's if you're 18, between 18 and the moon, it's for you, and meaning that everyone's included, which we do.
And we have a lot of very young children there as well, don't we, Ricky? Tell us a little bit about some of the
A
classes.
couple times a week I hear lots of tap, 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 tap all over, maybe a little cry here or there, and parents running after their kids. But yeah, there's a lot of dance classes for kids there. There's also adult classes. There's belly dancing classes. That's always fun.
And jazz.
Art classes. So pretty much anyone, I think, can find a class. Ukulele, yeah.
Yeah, ukuleles. And then, of course, they have the technology.
Yeah, we have a drop-in tech class. So anyone who needs a little help with a laptop or, iPad, cell phone, you can
Oh, no
come
one
in.
ever has problems.
Yeah, nobody.
No.
Yeah.
As it keeps changing and changing.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
lectures on AI.
Yep.
They've had that.
Mhm.
And some of the people who are involved with that very seriously and do their own artwork are members not only of the Susie Q, but sit on boards like at the Festival of Arts, and in their own right are, excellent artists and really, bring the use of technology forward, which is a tool to work with. So nothing's really off the table. Everything's on the table.
Yeah, and I would like to share, we haven't really touched yet on Lifelong Laguna, which is kind of the support services that we provide to the community that take place outside of the Susie Q. So while we focus on a lot of programs right there in the downtown location, we also have support services for people that might be more homebound, or for people that just maybe prefer more one-on-one support in their own home. So I always say Laguna is an incredible place to age. And part of the reason is because we have Lifelong Laguna, which is our Aging in Place program. It's a free program for anyone who lives in Laguna Beach, 55 years or older. And what I do for people that are interested is I set up a meeting with them, often going to their home to be able to build that rapport and get to know who this person is and what the best way we can provide that support so that they can age in a way that suits them best, right? We all have our own unique personalities and everyone has their own values, and those are going to be the driving factors in how we provide support for you. So I always talk about health and well-being. making sure that people have transportation if they need it, talking about nutrition. Again, we talked about Sally's Fund earlier. So they're the local nonprofit transportation that can help if people need that. We have AgeWell that provides the Meals on Wheels for people that might be more homebound or just maybe having a harder time cooking at this point in their life. I also talk about home safety. It's such a big piece, especially here in Laguna, right? We have very unique topography. There are a lot of homes that can be hard to access, and so people can schedule appointments with me and we can come out and kind of do a home safety assessment. Also just talking about socialization and purpose. And so if someone's needing more of that social support, we have the most incredible volunteers that can go and meet them at their house and really develop that bond and that friendship. And sometimes they go out, and they go shopping together. It doesn't necessarily have to be all older adults who are really frail and fragile. This is also about keeping people who are still very lively and full of life and making sure that we keep them on that spectrum for as long as possible. And we do that through bringing support before someone really, really needs it.
Yeah. Wow.
So let the listeners know how they can reach you and the Susie Q, ask questions, and how available you are and the time is best.
Yeah. So you can always come down to see us in person at the Susie Q, or you can reach me at my email, which is Ricky, RICKIER at thesusieq.org. You can give us a call, go to our website, thesusieq.org. That's probably the best way to get information. And I love my job. So I'm always excited when I hear from someone. I'm excited when I get to meet new people, and I get to play matchmaker.
Oh, that's good.
I get to
I have an interesting kind of provocative story.
Ooh.
I had a friend in high school, Vicky Solis, and she was a nurse's aide at a retirement community. And she'd get bored at night. So she'd always, well, come visit, come say hello, because it's open, So we would go there. And I remember once we're walking down the hall and there was a door sort of open. I thought, what's going on in there? And I said, Vicky, what's that? She says, oh, that's the sex room. I said, what? She goes, well, sometimes the adults want a little privacy. And she says, so we have a room, legitimate, they're consenting adult. Yeah. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just, and if there's a little romance going on and they want to be a little intimate, because often the rooms there were shared or they were accessible. There was no real privacy. Mm-hmm. So I found that amazing.
That is.
Like you say, when you look at someone older, you forget that they were probably young and 18 years old. Mm-hmm. And those drives and those thoughts are still with them. Just because there's a little snow on the roof doesn't mean there's not a fire in the furnace.
I love that. Yes.
I like that too, Craig. That's very good.
Oh.
So it's all about celebrating life and what things that are important. And that's part of a relationship, right?
Mm-hmm. And touch is so important. And I don't just, not necessarily even that intimate touch, but sometimes just having your hand held, as you age, if you are really isolated, and this doesn't even have to be aging, right? Anyone who is more isolated, that touch, a hug, a pat on the shoulder becomes incredibly important. One of my favorite things that I used to do at my previous job at Scan Health Plan, we would partner with the VA hospital and partner with a local beauty school. And they would bring out all of their beauty students to the VA hospital. And so the VA hospital, mostly men that were there, right? And most of them were older adults. And then we bring in all these 20-year-old, women, because most of the salon workers were women, and they would get manicures and facials and haircuts. And I cannot tell you guys,
wonderful.
They were not getting touch, and you could just see them light up just with having someone run their hands through their hair or having the guys were always like, no, I don't need a facial. These, vets, no, I'm fine. And then they would get a facial because we would convince them, or we'd say, there's no wait for the facial, but there's a wait for the haircut. And you would see them melt away. They would fall asleep. It was the most heartwarming thing. And so we do need all of that human connection. It is so, so important.
That is who we are.
I remember my mother was getting on. My dad had passed for about 18 or 20 years. He'd been gone, and she'd been alone all her life. And she had friends and she had activities and stuff, but she was having a bit of a crisis with some medical equipment, which was really silly because she thought she had to use it and she didn't. Anyway, she lost it and she started crying. And I thought, what am I going to do? You know, I could hear she got up and ran into her bedroom and was crying. I just went in and I wrapped my arms around her and just held on to her. And we both sat there and cried.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
and
so
it
nice.
was a wonderful, wonderful experience, you know. Sometimes hugging your own mother is not a bad idea.
No, and like a friend or anything like that. I
Yeah.
think, you know, one of the things before we close, I want to mention, because I think it's important, people, you know, are listening to you, Ricky, and to Lynette, and to us all about the Susie Q and how wonderful it is and how it's true. It's, you know, we do love you, Susie Q, and we love the way you walk and we love the way you talk. But it is, for people who are listening, the email, or rather, I'm sorry, the website is the www.thesusieq. That's all small letters, www.thesusiq.org. And because you mentioned that a lot of the older people don't use this equipment, there's also a telephone number you can call. Christine is there, and that's 949-715-8105. Again, 949-715-8105. Ricky, do you have another contact information that they can use also?
They can contact me directly at 949-715-8107.
So the difference is just the last
number, yeah.
The last number, 8105 or 8107 for Ricky. And I'm looking at the catalog. One of the things, we mentioned the art at the Susie Q, and the Living Pictures show is up now. That will come down, and in May, Creative Minds, original works in variety of media, and it's going to come together in Gallery Q. It's going to be a community, which is CAP Art Project, Community Art Project, CAP of Laguna Beach, and people who would like to bring their work in. They're accepting art May 15th from 10:30 a.m. till 12:30 p.m. and then again from 5 to 6 p.m. That's May 15th. The exhibit dates are from May 21st to July 16th. So there are applications at the Susie Q, and it's at thesusieq.org. Those are the applications. The art reception is going to be in May 23rd, and you pick up the art on July 17th. So there's shows coming up. Right now it's March, and they have Living Pictures. In May, Creative Minds. In July, called Cultural Flow. And in October, Art and Nature. So there's wonderful things going on in Gallery Q at the Susie Q. So don't hesitate to.
We have run out of time here, and I just want to thank. I want to thank Ricky so much, Ricky Redmond, for being here this evening. It was a surprise and a very pleasant one, I might add. Thank you, Leah.
Thank you both. This is, I come in like so many people, and I have as a codicil for this, I'm one of the recipients. Not only am I involved in the community, but at my age, and I'm 85 now, hard to think about it. But it's
so does that mean you're really 75? Because you told us earlier you were.
No, I'm really 105.
Yeah,
no, and that is so good, right? But the thing is, people say, "Oh, you're not," and the reason why they say that, and this is the kind of an end piece, is simply because when you're involved, and especially when you're creating things, there is no age. And
Yep.
I think that that's what's so wonderful. And having Craig here, having you here, we represent all these generations. And I want to thank you so much, Ricky, for coming on and representing you, and Lynette. We're here tonight representing the Susie Q. And I know that you're going to get calls, and I hope people go and support it.
Yes, I look forward to meeting more of you. Thank you.
And most of all, I want to thank our listeners for being there this evening. I hope you enjoyed the program. We have more programs forever and ever. We're going to be here as long as they don't close us up or kick us out. We're going to be here. This is Art Walking Art on KXFM 104.7. Have a fabulous evening, all the listeners out there, and thanks for tuning in.
KXRN LP, Laguna Niguel, Laguna Beach. KXFM on 104.7. KXFMradio.org.
KXFM 1047, Laguna's community radio.
And you thought that you didn't deserve it. Well, you're wrong. And you've got so much on your shoulders. Stay strong. And you thought that you didn't deserve it. Well, you're wrong. And you've got so much on your shoulders. Stay strong. Big love ahead. Mountaintops, you're scared. Big love ahead. Mountaintops, you're scared. I saw you smile for the first time, and I hope it lasts a while now. If you fall, I'll catch you. You've been lost in a canyon. Big love, big love. Big love ahead. Mountaintops, you're scared. Big love ahead. Mountaintops, you're scared. You're scared. You never give me your money. You only give me your funny paper. And in the middle of negotiations, you break down. I never give you my number. I only give you my situation. And in the middle of investigation, I break